but it doesn't. It shows whoever held it last. So, like your Maker Pen, for example, if you threw it to me and I caught it right now, and I put it in one of those zones, if it registers, they don't. It would register your code until I dropped it and picked it up. It's whoever dropped the object last. They made an error on the programming. One of my rooms is pretty nuts for chips, and that's a core component of it, so I thought my room was broken until I realized the glitch and told them. But yeah, you've got about 1,000 different ways you can do this. This is fun. Like, what I was thinking was you could have it so that when the chips are touched, they end up getting respawned into a zone, and the zone has the green output, which shows how many objects are in the zone, and once it hits X, that resets to the next level. You can use multiple rolls for your enemies, which increases their speed, or even just put it on a variable, since they're connected onto gizmos, and just increase the variable by a straight multiplication. But then you get 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 for their speed, and by, like, the 9th level, they're pretty much dead. Unlike the old level 256, what? Oh man, there's a lot you can do with this. That could be a lot of fun to work on. Here, I'll show you the sort of stuff I work on if you want to see. Check this out. I'm going to swap over to my public version of my Dungeons & Dragons room. I just made the thing public today. My rooms... yeah, we're still in the party, so I'll send you an invite once I fly over. Settings for everyone. There we go. So, judging by the look of the room, there isn't much in here clearly, but if you look at that sandbox, you'll see how much space I do not have. So, check this out. The way this works, any players who come in can use this to play Dungeons & Dragons. You ever play? Paper and pencil RPG, essentially. Normally played at a desk, and it's more or less a fun story. But check this out.
Game on.
Here we go.
Game over.
Oh, I hate that glitch. Oh yeah, it's the only way for you to get in this room without flying, but one thing I absolutely hate. You might notice if you ever set your game time to infinite, it doesn't always work, because look, if I hit start now,
Game on.
then it's going to say game over,
Over.
because I set the time to infinite. No, it's nothing, it's a glitch. If the time's set to infinite, that can sometimes happen. You literally just have to reprogram the damn room. Just a second here. Put the time limit to 40 minutes. Go to this room, game, start.
Game on.
There, and now the game rolls. Isn't that annoying? Another one of the glitches in the system that I don't know how to get around at the moment. But all I do is I go into there and I just set it back up to infinite after I start the game. If you start the game with infinite time, sometimes it starts with no time. It's messed up. But the reason I start a game, it's the only way to make the stats system work. You know how the system stores 6 stats, and those stats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? They the player stat chip. The stats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh, there's this. 1 second here. I grab this. There we go. So I'm going to turn on my settings here to give you a view of the room. Just be a little cautious where you click, or it's going to get really messy. You know the rules. Oh, I ain't going to be saving, so it should be fine. This is the player stat chip. I can't build any more chips. Yeah, the room is literally maxed out. I've done a lot of work on it. The players, in the way the game works, you can assign a stat to stat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 specifically. So I thought I had a phone call. So, let's say your character, like Dungeons & Dragons, you have Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. But you also have Armor class, Enchantment, AP, and a few other things, including like your class, your race. And as you can see here, I've made a basic tablet just using zones. So the way the system works, I've got a reset button here. I can set the class to whatever hell I want. Oh, the other thing I'll warn you for with zones, the arrows when you're in build mode trigger zones, but when you're not have the zone, when you have circuits disabled so you can't see them, they won't. So while you're messing and testing, watch for those, because you'll notice this, how the level goes up when I hit the arrow sometimes. They're clipping. Oh yeah, each player gets sequentially higher by 1. Oh yeah, I have that built all in this system. Well, actually, I used an if greater than 0, if not equal to 0, because these objects have a code of about 90,000 for their items. You want to talk about something that breaks the system. But this is the thing. So I'm building a character here entirely in Dungeons and Dragons. And as you can see, I even have health at the bottom. And then I hit save. I'm going to hit that again. Now, as you can see, I clear my stats, and if I hit load, they all come right back. That's saved to my character stats because those 6 stats I mentioned, they're stored as a 32-bit integer, I believe. So they go from -2 billion to +2 billion. If you come back here, I'll show you the math. So this is all the control chips for all the various parts of it. But this is where I take all 6 of those stats you saw come up, and I program them into one stat. What I do was, it's a complex mathematical formula, essentially. I just multiply by powers of 24, because that's as big as the number goes. And then I do a modulo at the very end. I'll spare you the math, but essentially, I take the numbers and I convert them into one large number. It would be like if you used times 10, and then times 1,000, and then 100,000. So that's those positions in the number line. I'm using math to bring it way down so I can fit way more numbers into billion, so... It works really well, so I can program a lot of coding, and everything else is automatic. Well, what this does, because this is the majority of the computer, allows me to use the Dungeons & Dragons table out here. And this gets to be a little more genius. So when dice is grabbed and thrown on the table through this zone, the second it crosses through here, but before it hits the table, it registers to this computer system. And this whole computer system basically pulls the stats of whatever dice just went in, and then outputs it over to that computer system you see here. This computer system is restricted by this tablet of mine, so that if I say, okay, you're going to attack the monster, that's a strength check with proficiency and an enchantment bonus, essentially. So when I grab the dice and I roll it, it adds my stats on automatically and tells you if you hit. You should have -5. Give this a roll on the table. Because you don't have any stats, the stats of a stat 0 is -5. My computer knows this. The other thing is I can grab this HP tablet. So for any players who are playing, you can tap that and you can actually see your in-game HP. Usually, for some reason, the system seems a little bit bejorked at the moment. It might be because I have the darn thing on view mode. 1 second here. Turn that back off. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, I use my PS Vita to do screen mode. Check this out. You pick that up twice though. Like, grab that like that twice so it registers your ID. If you tap HP, it should give you like 0. You don't have any HP, but you can freely increase and decrease it. And I can draw on this. Oh, this is the 3rd version. The previous 2 used buttons, and then they came out with the dice, but those things use so much space. That's where half my space goes. So I can go on here and I can draw out a dungeon and be like, oh look, there's a monster, and then grab a player tile and pop it into place, and they do rolls and crap. Yeah, this was